I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listens Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listens Show. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you hit that bell button so you can subscribe and get notified every time we drop a new show. And make sure you tell all your friends about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listens Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, we got all four of the crew today. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So over the weekend, Final Four for men and women. And a lot of controversy surrounding the women's championship game. I don't think anybody has talked so much about a women's final game versus this game that we just talked about. It probably for like a bad reason, but still, I mean, it was a good game. Two good teams playing. A bunch of dope players playing. I mean, I'm saying dope players. A bunch of good athletes playing on both teams. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark for Iowa. But there was a little bit of drama because Angel Reese, the sister for LSU, when the game was won, and they actually, really just blew them out, blew Iowa out, even though Iowa had a great season and an outstanding player with Caitlin Clark. When the game was over, she went and, they say that John Cena, you can't see me, but John Cena basically stole that. He stole it. People try to say he stole it from Tony Yayo, because Tony Yayo did do it, but I'm old enough to remember that the first person to do this right here was Flavor Flav. But anyway, He stole it from a black man. So they were doing the "you can't see me" whatever, and Angel Reese was doing it to Caitlin Clark. And a lot of people on Twitter, mainly white men, were talking about how they didn't like it, how it was unsportsmanlike, and they started to attack the sister, the young sister. She's like 20 years old. Black Twitter, Black Facebook, basically Black people everywhere in the media came to her defense, talking about, hey, listen, it was cool when the white girl was doing it, but now it's a problem when the Black girl's doing it, and what's up with that? Called out basically Keith Olbermann, specifically Keith Olbermann. I think he called her an idiot. Like, people were calling her an effing idiot and saying all kind of different things. And thankfully, that young sister had the wherewithal to stand on hers, and she didn't back down, and she had a whole nation behind her. So that being said, what did y'all think about the game? What did y'all think about the response to her actions at the end of the game? Did it take away from the game? Did it take away from her team? And do you think it was unfair?
I mean, I thought the game was great. I think that the whole controversy, for better or worse, around the game did a lot for women's basketball, just bringing like the attention to women's basketball and how they really played an aggressive, competitive game. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people try to say about women's sports is that it's not as aggressive and not as competitive. But then when you have two athletes getting aggressive and competitive, then you want to try to criticize how strong these women are. I think that all of the talk about it is exactly what the sport needed to bring the attention to it that was necessary. I mean, they've been trying to push all year, I feel like, women's sports and supporting it. And this was the perfect clincher to a great season where you have two top athletes compete and be competitive. And then both athletes, because Angel and Caitlin, you know what I mean? They were perfectly fine with how the game was played. They were perfectly fine with all of the competitiveness and the aggressiveness. And to criticize Angel just highlighted how sexist people don't like to see aggressive women, and B, how racist people don't like to see aggressive or strong Black women. And the fact that Angel was non-apologetic and the fact that Caitlyn came back and supported her, I just felt like it was a win all the way around for women's sports.
I think that was my thing too, was just that I just love the attention that it brought to women's sports, because I kind of grew up at a time period which it's still like this in a lot of ways around here now, especially when I go to like my son's games and stuff. The girls games, like the gym is like a fourth of a way full or halfway full, then you get towards that third or fourth quarter right before the boys or the men's games, and all of a sudden people start coming in. I'm not going to circle back to how I feel there's ways that they can fill those seats, but there's ways that they can do it. Everybody just chooses to ignore it. But I just like the fact that it was the most watched game and that sold the most tickets, and the tickets were as high as they've ever been. And I just love that, people are aware of it, but it also kind of exposed the people who aren't familiar with it. Had you been watching women's college basketball all year, you would have seen that competitiveness and that aggressiveness that they displayed in that one game that you chose to watch has been happening not just all year, but several years in the past. And so that's what I think was the biggest issue. I didn't have a problem with the way Caitlyn was acting all year. I didn't have a problem with the way Angel Reese was acting all year. Any of them. I think it was just that the people who weren't familiar with it were just exposed to it and just made it a big deal out of nothing. It kind of reminded me of, I remember being in like maybe middle school and that movie came out, it was A League of Their Own. It's a softball movie, but like the men went over to war and then they had these women playing softball. Well, they wanted to put them in skirts, and then they wanted them to take this etiquette class, and then they told them they had to have manners. And so I just felt like it was the same thing. Like people are still stuck in that thinking that women can't, women athletes can't, be emotional and express their feelings, and trash talk and go back and forth. And most of the people that had a problem with it were probably older people. Of course, they weren't, around back in the day when that movie, was supposed to be that time period, but they were like, the children of those same people. And I still think that that's the same mind frame.
Yeah, I hate to be another person that has the same mindset as you guys, but I think you guys hit everything right on the head. I think a big issue, like Erika said, is that it was a Black woman who was expressing herself basically how she wanted to, unashamed of being who she is. And I think a part of it, the highest rated game ever, is because part of it is we said on the last show, it's the elephant in the room or whatever. We're talking about race. So it was basically an all-white team against an all-Black team. And it kind of does break down along those lines when you look at the people that were watching, or as people watching that never watched before because they never seen Caitlin Clark. They had never seen a Caitlin Clark. They're like, this white girl is out here hooping, and she was hooping. She was balling, and so they beat the number one team, undefeated team, South Carolina, who a lot of people assume were going to win the title. And it was very interesting to me that Dawn Staley, literally 24 hours before or 48 hours before all this occurred, she hit on her post-game news conference after they lost to Iowa, how coverage of her team, who is another all-Black team with aggressive, in-your-face females, how they get covered versus an Iowa team. And what stood out to me was, Iowa was the only team that had the technical foul. Iowa was the only team that, was basically in that game, I'm not going to say disrespectful to the ref, but they did something like that drew a technical foul. And people were talking about how good of a sportsmanship that they had. And that just spoke volumes about exactly what Dawn Staley was saying. And just, to me, it just drove the point home even more. So I do think it was great overall for women's basketball. I don't think it was much of a controversy to people that actually ever played any sport at any level, because trash talk goes on at every level of every sport. I umpire Little League Baseball, and there's 8-year-olds who are out here trash talk. I mean, seriously, that's just how it goes nowadays. So it was much ado about nothing, but it definitely kept the conversation going. And I think going into next year, because all those players are coming back, which is another thing. Men's game, one and done. These guys, they don't even win titles. They might, average 15, 16 points, but they say, I'm taking my talents to the NBA. And so it's a new crop every year. But women's basketball, you're able to, learn the players and ride with them.
Yeah. Or they go to another team or whatever. But I think that talking about the trash talk between the two teams, to your point, that piece right there should have been much ado about nothing. But the bigger picture, and I know that you all are talking about this, are aware of it, is the code words, sportsmanship, things of that nature. We know what that means. We talked about a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about John Morant and how people used to reference NBA players as thugs. And Don Staley alluded to that when people were talking about her team. It's like, we know what you really are trying to say when you say these things. It's code words for the N word. And when they say lack of sportsmanship, and they even went after the girl's parents. I looked her up. She's got two parents that were athletes. She knows who her mom and daddy are. Her mom is I think she's a Zeta or something. Not, shout out to Erika, but that makes you like a great mom. But you have educated parents who are involved in your life, and they sit there and try to act like, look at how Caitlin Clark's parents raised her. Well, she was talking the most trash throughout the whole tournament. So what are you talking about? How are you missing this double standard?
Yo. I know it's getting good. We're going to get right back to it. But check it out. Imagine your advertisement right here. Just click the link in our bio and we'll hit you up.
So the fact that Don Staley called it out, and then like Lav said, 48 hours later, Angel Reese is being attacked primarily by older white men. And the two people that stood out the most was Keith Olbermann, a quote unquote liberal, but he's still a white man. And then there was this other guy, I don't even remember his name, I don't even care to look up, but he's Hispanic. And he was talking about like how she was raised versus Caitlin Clark and all that. And it really drove in the points that we've always tried to make. First of all, that black and brown alliance, it doesn't exist because you see how they act. And then even if a man is a liberal, a white man is a quote unquote liberal, he's still a white man. And he's still going to white man when the opportunity is given to him. So I think that the double standard needed to be called out. I am so proud of Angel Reese because she stood on hers. She didn't back down. She was unapologetic. She said, I don't tolerate disrespect lightly. And I'm glad. I think that she is a role model for young black women because not only does she ball, she carries herself, back in the day, and I hope I'm not offensive when I say this, you used to see, girls who were hooping, they didn't really care about their looks. They were just out there to ball. And they weren't wearing makeup. They weren't wearing lashes. They weren't wearing weave and all that different stuff. And these girls like, no, we know we're going to be on TV. I saw like a segment. They said, we know we're going to be on TV. So we're going to do it up.
Wait a minute. No one was wearing lashes or wigs back then, though. Like right now, like
that's what I'm saying.
Middle school and high school.
That's what I'm saying.
No one was even wearing weave until like outside of Hollywood until maybe
that's like what I'm saying.
2005.
No, that's not a lack of care about your appearance. That's a lack of access.
Right. It just wasn't popular.
No, go back. I agree.
Y'all overreacting. Y'all not really understanding.
I agree. I was going to mention that too, Mark, because
y'all not really understanding what I'm saying. Yes, we did have weave back then.
Yeah.
Yes, they did have lashes back then.
They was wearing braids back then.
You know why? You know why I know that? Because my mama and them wore weaves and they wore lashes back in the 70s.
That was old ladies wearing weaves.
The point I was trying to make was back in the day, sisters who hooped, they didn't.
We wasn't just coming out looking crazy. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, they was.
Like that. No, they was not.
Go look at.
Like they was going on a TV show or going to be like.
Right.
Exactly. Right. That's the point I'm trying to make.
About our looks, or we wasn't dressed up.
They did not.
I could come geared up, ready to go, and not have on makeup.
No. But what he's just saying, like you said,
you compare the women.
They're ready for TV
back in the day. They were on TV. They did not present themselves like these young women are presenting themselves now. They did not. They absolutely did not. And I'm not saying that they were unattractive. I'm not saying that they were ugly or that they didn't care about their appearance. They came to hoop, and that was it.
Mhm.
I'm giving a shout out, and I'm not diminishing those ladies. I don't know why this got such a visceral response from y'all. But
did
what
say
I'm
they don't
saying
care about
is
their appearance.
these
Literally said
these
that.
young women are doing that and saying, you know what, we're gonna look fly too.
Yeah.
And I think that's dope.
I bet you do think it's dope that they dressed up for you on TV while they out there winning championships. Get out of here.
First of all,
What?
first of all,
Now I gotta hoop and be cute.
first of all, guess what?
that
Guess
is-
what? A
I ain't gonna lie,
20-year-old girl like Angel Reese don't move the needle for me at all because I got daughters who are older than her, so we ain't even gonna go there. So, but anyway, the point that I was trying to make was these women, these young women, embody everything that I would want a young woman in my family to embody in terms of being able to articulate their thoughts, standing on theirs. Hell, you got them going against the First Lady of the United States. The First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, sitting there saying, hey, maybe we should invite both teams. When have you ever invited the first loser to the White House? So what was their response? Nah, we good, little dirty. We'll go to the Obamas. We'll go to the Obamas. I ain't gonna lie to you. At 20 years old, I probably wouldn't have had that wherewithal to do that. So I'm giving them their props.
Hey, for real, that's my boy. Barry and them wasn't gonna have him over there. Barry and them would have stayed out of it. Like, nope, y'all can't come.
Look, hey. Every time they say, Mr. and Mrs. Obama, can we come to your house? I know Barry and them like, and our name.
Because they fake.
We're renovating the house right now. So
Right.
They fake. They big fake. You talking about my tan suit is at the cleaners.
Right.
But what y'all think about Jill Biden though when she pulled that mess? That was just ridiculous.
Trash.
I thought it was a joke the first time I saw it. Honestly, I did. I thought it was like somebody just acting silly on Twitter, how people do.
Like
and
it
then
was
I
fake.
started seeing. Then I saw it on ESPN. I saw it on the AP Newswire. Then
You
NBC.
remember when Erika sent it to the chat?
Yeah,
I didn't take it seriously.
yeah.
And when I was like, wait, this is real? She actually said that?
Totally ridiculous. Hey, Uncle Shay Shay said that just cost Biden the 2024 election.
Well, I mean, you said it live and you was joking, but you was real. They realized that Iowa caucus, that's important.
Yeah.
But it begs the question, where the hell's Kamala? Where's Kamala?
Kamala's the same place she's been the whole time since she's been elected, at the crib with her white husband eating green bean casserole and shit. I don't know what the fuck she be doing.
Rooting for Iowa.
Right. You know what she not doing? Standing up.
With her Caitlin Clark jersey on. But I think that if they play this right, let me go back because I gotta say one thing. I expected white men to white men. I expected white women to white women, but it's extremely disappointing the amount of black men who I have seen riding the jock of Caitlin Clark. Now, I take nothing away from her. She's a baller, right? But for you to pile on Angel Reese talking about all sportsmanship or whatever, man, you were setting us back so much. And so many times sisters try to say, hey man, black men are holding us back. And I always say, man, that's some BS because you got brothers like myself, you got my brothers like Lav who stand tall for sisters. But this right here, man, is indefensible. And for you, quote unquote, black men to be going hard at that young woman, it's the same dudes that was going after Sha'Carri Richardson. It's the same ones. And I really wish, I want to say, I wish you would like unalive yourself, but that's probably not politically correct. So I won't say it. But yeah, if I could say it, that's what I would say.
That's a new way to put it. I like that. I just made note of that one now.
Right. But I can't say that. Yeah, I can't say that. I can't say that. But if I could say that, that's what I would say. That's exactly what I would say. But you know what? Back to my original point. Now we get off of that. If they play this right, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna like be totally upfront. I ain't watched the game. I don't really watch women's sports. I don't really watch a lot of men's sports anymore. I played in high school a lot. You know, I watched it when I was younger. I watched like playoffs, like baseball. I watched in October. You know, basketball during the playoffs. You know, I don't watch the NFL. I watch soccer, but I just don't watch a lot of sports. Period. But am I the only one that sees how they can really play this to grow the sport? You said they got over 9 million people that watch this game. They say that's like a record number, right? And then the the correlation, the parallel to Magic and Bird with Angel and Caitlin, like you can't mistake it. I remember, I mean, all of us are probably, except for Arika, we remember when Bird and Magic, like that was like the matchup. That was the showcase. And I remember watching documentaries and how people said the NBA was almost defunct. Like they were showing NBA games on syndication, like showing the recordings. They weren't even showing live video live feeds of the game. And then when Bird and Magic, when they had their championship game and that rivalry was established, and then it transitioned into the NBA, how it saved the NBA. I think that if they play it right, this could do the same thing for women's basketball.
Yeah, I think women's basketball has already had kind of a resurgence on the WNBA level. The last
No, they have, because they still talking about why they ain't getting paid like the men are.
no, I'm talking about as far as people attending and as far as the
They don't get paid
ratings and stuff
like
like
you don't
that.
watch.
Yeah,
But
but
they don't get paid like men because they don't put the asses in the seats like men do.
Because y'all don't watch.
Women don't watch.
I watched the game. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Women don't watch. Yeah, I mean, y'all don't want to talk about that, but women don't watch the damn game either. So we're gonna put it just on men. But go ahead.
No, I say I did watch the game. I watched the whole women's tournament more than
That's
I
the whole
did.
time C ain't never had a response. See, I was quick to come back. She ain't had
Quite sure she has a response.
Yeah, she just waiting. She just waiting.
Be polite to let Lab
giving her
finish his
time.
point, unlike you.
I'm giving her time to flesh it out. But no, man. I was talking to somebody before that game even started on one of my other group chats. Like, honestly, the women's tournament has been more entertaining than the men's tournament this year. The games were better. Really, it was a skill level that a lot of the guys really don't have. A lot of the guys is just, you know, if you dunking or that's it. You know, you don't have much beyond that. You see how them women was hitting every open three. I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. They wasn't missing.
I agree with you, bro. I've been to some live, like I go to the CIAA tournament and I watched the women's final at the CIAA tournament and they was balling.
Yeah.
Entertaining basketball. And then the men's game started. I left before halftime because all it is come down, shoot a deep three, which I more than likely going to miss, or a dunk. Like, who wants to see that?
Yeah, the men's tournament was all over the place this year. It was crazy. Like, I don't know like how far people would have got on their brackets, but there's really no way unless you just like closing your eyes and just picking teams and selecting stuff to go. It was nuts. And like Lav said, towards the end, the teams that did make it just didn't really have like a spark. They just really weren't fun to watch.
San Diego State, Florida, Atlanta, yeah. Those are regional teams. They're not.
Speaking of brackets, I actually filled out a women's bracket this year. This was the first time I ever did it. Yeah, first time I ever did a women's bracket. I had LSU in the title game. I did. I had them losing to South Carolina.
Hold on. So I saw an interview where they were talking to Angel Reese. And I guess Jill Biden was at the championship game, right?
Yeah, she was.
And Jill Biden wanted to talk to the teams before the game. The LSU team told her, we don't want to meet with you. And they asked him, why did y'all not want to meet with Jill Biden when y'all like on point or focus? They was like, nah, President Biden picked us to lose, like, you know, way early in the tournament. So we ain't want to fool with the Bidens. Like, they for real on their stuff, man. I really, really like those young ladies, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know for sure because I haven't like fact checked anything, but what I saw on Twitter though, like Angel Reese, like with a lot of her NIL deals, she includes other players and the other teams in on it too. So I really like that about her too. It's like, you know, she's not just trying to get herself paid, she's trying to get the other 14 girls on the team a little something too. And so I like that about her.
He's at that flavor to your function. D's daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Flavor to your function. D's daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink. Wanna kick back, wanna just vibe. Work a kick back. Let me first slide to the drink store. Let me just buy DD drink mixes, all of them fire. Fill me up a case, I'm finna drop bread. Marvelous mango, classic and red. Took them to the party, these folks won't leave me alone. They wanting me to share, they better get their own. DD's at that. Flavor to your function. DD's daiquiri. Good vibe, one at a time. Good vibe, one at a time.
Like I said, if it's true, I haven't fact checked it. I just saw it on Twitter.
I don't know how to pronounce her name, and I don't want to do her any injustice, but I think it's
Flaugier.
Flaugier.
Because it rhymes. It's supposed to rhyme with the camouflage, right?
Yeah.
That was
And his
it.
name began with a J. So it was like Flaugier.
Flaugier can flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have y'all seen her rap, man? She can really, really go hard, man. Like
She's throwing up the rock.
she it,
I thought it was dope they played her song.
what you
What's
talking
wrong,
about?
Mar?
What you talking about? She threw up the rock.
Rock Nation.
She signed to Rock Nation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, shout out to Jay-Z. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. You see, I thought I was going to hate. Y'all thought I was going to hate, right? No, that's a good thing.
But they got her on the NIL deal too, though. So they represent her as far as managing her NIL and as an artist.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. So, do you think that women's basketball is going to continue to grow from here, or this would be like something that we talked about this year and then it's a wrap? Do you think they'll be able to capitalize on it?
I think, like Lav said, it is growing. And then, as far as Caitlin, as doesn't like it, the color really doesn't matter. I'm not gonna say no one sees color, but the color really doesn't matter as far as like she's skilled, like she's explosive, she's fun to watch. And I think Steph Curry has kind of brought that out in people. Everybody likes to see everybody shoot the long ball. And so I think that she's not the only one that can do that. I think there's other girls, in college basketball, and there's other people that are coming. Because shoot, I mean, LSU and both South Carolina shot some really deep threes, and I think that's just going to keep people entertained. So I think they're going to watch it. Hopefully, you'll pick it up and you'll start watching it too, Marv.
But I don't.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm against women. I like I said, I don't really want to force a whole woman at all.
We're not against rap.
But help me. What'd you say?
We're not against rap. We're not against
That's what he sound like, but we are against those thugs.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to make this girl.
He's a Bone fan too, so it's like that beat was dropping in his head.
Right.
They're trying to make it seem like this young girl was a thug. But speaking of thugs, what about y'all boy Trump got arrested? What to do about nothing, or is it going to be something?
What you do about nothing? They just wasting everybody's time
and money. Because that's our money.
And money. And money.
Hey, am I the only one that knew Steve was gonna say that? Because she's
no. So that is not why I'm saying
I'm messing with you. See,
let's be honest. Let's be honest. In America, very rarely do rich old white men go to jail. So you can't tell me a wealthy one with that type of following is going to go to jail unless you like that Jeffrey guy or something like that. Like most likely you're not going to go to jail. And I just know that with America, I know there's a lot of other stuff that's going on as far as with like, banks and all this other stuff. And it's almost like they're magicians, just like, look what I'm doing with this hand, ignore what I'm really doing over here. And I just feel like that's what they're doing on top of, they really don't want him to run again. And so I think this is the way of stopping him from running again. So it's just a waste of time.
I'll say this before Rick and Lad jump in. So he's got about this one. He got, was it? Can you say he was arrested? He was charged, right? Like was it like 30 something?
34
charges, right? He's got the vote tampering in Georgia that he's going to have to deal with, right? there's the inciting the riot in DC that I have to deal with. He'll probably have to, stand trial for all of those. I seriously doubt he will ever do any jail time if he is convicted. I originally thought, I was talking about this earlier with some friends of mine, that your boy Biden, C's boy Biden, would probably pardon him. But see, I'm gonna stop messing with C today. C gonna cuss me out. But I really thought Biden was
You're gonna have people watching that little short clip thinking I'm a Biden fan and all that.
I ain't gonna do like that.
30 seconds. They're gonna be like, C's boy.
Right. That's what people do. They watch them little clips and be like, so and so said this, and don't even finish the rest of the sentence.
They need to watch.
Guilty.
I'm gonna say that was that AI talking.
But listen, that's a good one. All of these charges, I think, outside of maybe the riot, that because it happened in DC, they're state charges.
Mm-hmm.
So a president wouldn't be able to pardon him anyway. It would have to be, so the Georgia stuff, if Kemp stays in office, more than likely he'll pardon Trump. New York, I don't know. It might be some problems, but I do think it's a distraction. But Lav, Rika, what y'all think?
Man, that boy ain't about to do no time. Every single sitting president that we've ever had has committed crimes, including y'all's boy Barry.
No, I don't know about that.
What?
Yeah. Nah, he got to be.
I'm critical of Barry. But I don't think Barry did it. Because listen, if Barry did something, they'd have been on him.
They would have been on him. Yeah.
No, not if he's doing things that they sanction. So Trump stayed out of Africa. Barry had his ass and his hands over there in Africa, pillaging with the rest of them white folks. So
that's his people.
You're talking about moral stuff. I'm talking about like
legal
constitution, illegal. I don't.
They tried to put him in jail for the tan suit you referenced earlier. Come on,
put him in jail.
I'm just saying.
They just criticize.
I'm just saying.
Look, you can't be president and get your feelings hurt because they talking about your outfit. Like, get over it. I'm saying all of them are morally bankrupt. All of them are trash. And anytime you rise to that level of power in a country as corrupt as America, you've got some dirt underneath your fingernails. So I don't feel any sympathy for him. Just like I also don't think that he's any guiltier or more, reprehensible than any of the others. I think they're all in the same trash bucket and they'll get the same respect out of me, which is none.
I don't think you can. Yeah, he's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I see him the same as all the others, no more, no less.
Okay,
I mean, I have to disagree with you.
Yeah, I think he just had social media and he wouldn't stop talking.
So if he would have shut up.
Yeah,
he was just loud and stupid.
That's the thing. Trump is not smart. He knows how. Well, he's smart enough. He knows how to play his base. He knows how to manipulate people, but he's not smart enough to get out of his own way where he thinks he can talk himself out of everything. They finally got Biden to shut up. Because Biden was just the same way, just an old man running his mouth all the time. Biden's way smarter than Trump is. And to your point, Trump had Central Park 5, Biden had Crime Bill, and Anita Hill. So to your point, they both stink. But Trump, he's not smart enough to get out of his own way, and he got himself in this situation.
I read that somebody from the Central Park 5 had put an ad out for Trump. I don't know if it was true or if that was just somebody,
I think he just did a tweet.
Oh, okay.
No, he did the same ad that Trump did, took out in the New York papers. He took one out it looks identical. I mean, but the wording is totally different. But it's also because he's running for state rep in Brooklyn.
He was a tall brother. I think he's Muslim. When I saw
Yusef.
He said karma. I thought it was just a tweet. I didn't see that it was an actual article.
No, he took out a full page. He was on Joy Reid show yesterday, and they showed it.
Full page ad, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love our politicians.
All right, well, he didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
He didn't pay for it.
George Soros probably paid for it.
He supported it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get why people feel sorry for Trump, though. There's actually people that feel sorry for him. I get how someone can say, listen, this is a waste of time. It's much ado about nothing. It's a distraction. But there are actually people, Black people, who feel like, you know what, why are they doing this to him? Like, this ain't right. They shouldn't do it. I don't get that because Trump wouldn't feel sorry for any of us at all. And I'm not a Republican like Sister C is, but I've said on the show before, Trump wasn't all the way bad, and he wasn't always wrong. But the stuff he was wrong about long term would set us back so far, like the Supreme Court and other stuff that he wanted to do. I actually think that
Well, see, to
I
me,
think this is hold on, train thought.
yeah,
I actually think this is a mistake because I think what they are trying to do is to keep him from running again. I think that's a mistake because if he runs again, Biden will beat him because Biden don't know if he's gonna run again or not, and Biden's messing up the Democrats because they don't have a bench. Who's gonna run? We just talked about Kamala. Who they gonna put up there, right?
Well, that's my
They
problem.
don't have anybody like Barack who would just come out of nowhere and like just get everybody's attention and get everybody motivated. If DeSantis runs against Biden, it'll be a wipeout. And DeSantis,
Why is Biden running again?
DeSantis is much more dangerous than Trump is.
How
Papa
old is
need to
Biden?
retire.
yeah, right. They need to be age limits regardless. So
I know you're feeling the show, but picture your ad right here. If you want to advertise with us, hit up the link in our bio and we'll get you on the show.
And he didn't shut up because he probably can't work his phone no more. They probably just took his glasses.
The comprehension skills in that Alzheimer's. Yeah, you saw him reading off that monitor and then repeated the same sentence and
misspoke the other day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They gonna use that.
Know.
Hey, they're gonna use the AI heavily in 2024 campaign.
Manchurian candidate, yeah, for
Manchurian,
sure.
right?
If Democrats allow him to run again, it's just, I mean, it's another proven fact that they're not really trying to win.
They're not. I think it's hilarious that he ain't back his wife on that LSU thing too. That was hilarious.
Oh,
to me.
I'd have
He
loved her out
would
there
stay
too.
far away from that.
Yeah, he knew what was
Not far enough away to apologize. He should have came on and said, "We're not inviting losers."
They're
to
not
the White
coming.
House."
Yeah.
He should have said that's not even a thing.
He should have said, we are inviting you, and if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
If you vote for Caitlin Clark for MVP, you're not black.
Shout out to Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, listen, y'all, I don't know. I think that dude DeSantis down in Florida, man, he's a problem.
He's insane.
He's a problem.
Yeah,
I think he's dangerous.
I think the thing with DeSantis though is there's something about Trump that he garners so much more. He energizes so many more people. I don't think DeSantis would energize people in Idaho the way Trump does. You know what I mean? And so I think, to me, like you were just talking about, Trump wasn't all bad. He wasn't wrong on some things. The problematic part for Trump is that it carried people like Marjorie Taylor Greene in the office. And so then that's where the issue lies, is because it might not be Trump, but all those other people. And now the state houses are packed with Republicans. And shoot, our representative here in North Carolina today, she just flipped, went in a heavily blue area. She's a Republican now. So now the state legislature has a super majority, a Democrat governor. So now they have veto power over everything. And so, that's what the issue lies. Because I mean, like Arika said, everybody has dirt on them when they get to the presidency. It's about the local stuff, and we've talked about it before. It's about the local elected officials.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they need to get it together. Biden hasn't been all bad either. We have a lot of criticism for him, but I think that Biden being in office right now is much better than having a lame duck Trump in office. Because if we'd have had a lame duck Trump in office, he would have ran the score up for his base, as opposed to what Barry did when he was lame duck and he had an opportunity to get us what we needed. But I don't know. I think it's much ado about nothing. Which I think about is Black people who are at the forefront of these charges. You think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
It's these are jurisdictions that are run primarily by Black people. I mean, you look at Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. You look at New York City; those are probably two of the most heavily populated. The two larger cities that are controlled by a lot of Black people.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem with the charges against him, though, is that they're all disjointed. So, like, it's one thing if you have one prosecutor who's running the whole show in control of all the evidence and what the strategy is going to be and stuff, but you have all these different things coming from different regions and stuff. Like, I read one of the charges was he tried to give, or he allegedly paid $30,000 to a doorman to keep quiet about some random kid he has. Like, these people have to already be paid off, the wife, the girl, and the kid, if they do exist. And then so you got basically you're gonna have to try to get this doorman in here to prove that he paid him off. What are the chances he's gonna do that? I mean, I just think it's gonna be very difficult for them to win a lot of these little smaller, like, little things. Like you said, I think it's a waste of taxpayer time and money to try to go after these little. We really care about whether or not he paid off somebody about some child he allegedly had. I don't. I care about what's going on with the country and what's going on with the state of how we're handling things. I care about how the dollar isn't going to be like used in a lot of these major countries anymore, and the ramifications of that happening. We should be spending our time, money, and resources on worrying about what we're going to do with that, not worrying about keeping Trump from running for office again, which I agree with you. All of this is just strategy to keep him out of office because they don't want him to win again. But at the same time, why wouldn't you put some money behind a candidate that is strong and going to do something for the country, as opposed to putting your money, time, and resources behind stopping somebody else from running? Because the Democrats just keep showing time and time again that they're weak-minded, weak in strategy, weak in working together to come up with something to move the country forward. It's sad.
Well, I don't really think that Biden is really on board with this, because you see when they talked about it, he said no comment. I think number one, probably because he's thinking about a lot of stuff that UNC have said. But number two, when those tables turn, and we know eventually those tables will turn, we know that Biden's house ain't clean.
Where's Hunter?
But yeah. Hunter Biden is dirty as I'll get out. And you know they're going to go hard in the paint at that young dude.
But that's the thing. They set a precedence, though. So it's easy to say, oh, Trump is this bad guy, let's pursue charges against him. But now you started a thing. So now when we get a Democratic president that's done anything and they start pressing charges against every single president, it's going to be harder and harder to get people into this office. Because
the only thing though is these are state charges. So you would have to have somebody on a state level who's gonna go after Biden, right? So who would it be? Maybe Delaware. Outside of that, where else does he have those business dealings? Whereas Trump, they've probably figured something was shady with Trump Enterprise or Trump International for years. And this is their avenue to try to make headway to try to get those books open.
Trump is shady though, y'all.
Yeah.
But he's a shady businessman. That doesn't make him a shady president.
But this doesn't have. He happens to be president.
He's done shady stuff to Black people. Like,
well, you got to go after all of the people. Then they're not doing that. So you still setting a precedence.
New York is setting a precedent for what they want in New York City. I don't think it's a nationwide precedent, because New York is all about the financial. They're talking about the financial crimes.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I think we talked about enough. Make sure you follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at manlistenshow. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Make sure you hit that bell button so you can be notified when we have a new show. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you can listen to a podcast. We'll have you next time. Peace.
Peace.
You see LSU coach, her outfits be crazy.
Yes.
Awful. Like Craig Sager awful.